Morning Kentucky. Welcome back to WTVQ 36. Joining us today is Mary O'Doherty, the Economic Justice Program Director at the Kentucky Domestic Violence Association, and Darlene Thomas, who is the Executive Director of the Bluegrass Domestic Violence Program. Good morning, ladies. Thank you for being on the show.
Good morning.
You know, domestic violence has been in the news a lot lately because of the situation with Rihanna and Chris Brown. Allegedly, he beat his girlfriend, Rihanna. They're both singers, and now they have allegedly reconciled. What kind of message does that send out to domestic violence victims?
Well, I think what I would say is a very common situation. Often domestic violence, I mean, it's a very complex situation. What we do know is that victims kind of return and leave and return and leave before they're ready to take these final steps to break that relationship. So it's common. Why
do you think that people do return to that kind of relationship?
Well, it's a whole host of factors. You know, early on you believe that it won't happen again, and the person that harmed you promises that they'll get help, or because they couldn't help themselves and it'll get better, or they'll go to church, whatever it needs to be said at that time. Victims need to hear the hope of the person they love, so they hold on until they realize that it really has nothing to do with them, and then they usually leave for good.
For people who are in those type of relationships here in Kentucky, what are some things that they can do to seek help? They can seek help from either one of you with your programs.
They can. There's a statewide network, which is Kentucky Domestic Violence Association, but here locally, the Bluegrass Domestic Violence Program serves 17 counties in the central region. We have a 1-800 crisis line number that can be reached 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have shelter services, we have outreach services, legal justice services, so there's a whole host of ways people can come to access the help that they may need as they're trying to navigate through a domestic violence situation.
And of course you need funding to make these programs work, and I know, Mary, you just got a generous donation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, the Allstate Foundation gave the Kentucky Domestic Violence Association $115,000. We're using it to put on economic empowerment work for domestic violence victims across the state. At the Bluegrass program, which Darlene runs, we've helped about 40 women with economic empowerment work. We're helping them write resumes, we're helping them we're pulling credit reports for them, we're helping them with microloans, we're trying to keep them from going to payday lenders. We're doing all kinds of things to try to keep them from being feeling like they're economically dependent on their abusers. We believe if they're financially independent, they're more likely to make the right decision when domestic violence happens.
I guess bottom line, no one should have to deal with that type of relationship where there's domestic violence.
No, but to know that there's help available from crisis all the way to self-sufficiency, which is what Allstate is helping us do.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning.